Hey guys, I'm T and welcome to the channel. If you're new here, we make trendy and fun crochet tutorials twice a week. And if you haven't already, smash that like button, drop a comment below, and subscribe to join in on the fun. Kept it sleek with a single strap top. Always a fan of modern designs, and this one's no exception. It's clean, trendy, and sure to turn a head or two. Speaking of, if you're looking to turn heads, you've come to the right place. We've got hundreds of designs sure to get you a compliment or two with more on the way, so consider subscribing. And while you're at it, if you're enjoying this video, be sure to give it a like. It would really help me out so I can continue to make tutorials for you to enjoy. With that said, it's time to get the show on the road. So without further ado, for this project, any category 3 yarn will work, but I use a total of 200 grams of yarn, and that's 280 yards if you're stateside. As for tools, a 4mm hook, scissors, stitch markers, and a tape measure. There is a written pattern down below. Use offer code TCDDIY for a discount off any $9.99 plus order, and enter this week's pattern giveaway by telling us your favorite pizza topping. For me, I love all the flavors, so it's gotta be supreme. Detail for the giveaway down below. We're using 6 stitches for this project, and they'll be as follows. Chain, slip stitch, single crochet, half double crochet, double crochet, treble crochet, and double treble crochet. This tutorial is for size small, but you can adjust it for your size, and we explain how to in the video, so let's get started. Getting this top started, we're first going to grab our category 3 yarn and make a slip knot. Next, we're going to grab our 4mm hook, and we are all going to start by making a chain of 8. Now this is going to be the same for every size. Now once we have our chain of 8, we are going to block off that last chain and do a chain 2. That chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, that's just our turning chain, and from here we're going to yarn over, preparing for a half double crochet, and then we're going to half double crochet into that chain that we blocked off, or the third chain from our hook. So go ahead and insert your hook into that chain. We're going to yarn over, pull through that first loop. We should have 3 loops on our hook, so we're going to yarn over, pull through all 3 of those loops. Let's do this again. Yarn over, insert your hook into that next chain, yarn over, pull through 1, should have 3 loops on our hook, so yarn over, pull through 3. Let's do just one more. Yarn over into that next chain, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, and pull through 3. Continue to put 1 half double crochet into every chain. Alright, so our first half double crochet row is all finished, and before we get started with our cable, we're going to have to do one more half double crochet row. So to get started with our half double crochet row, we're going to chain 2, flip our work, and all we're going to do is yarn over, insert your hook into that first stitch with a half double crochet, and we're going to continue to put 1 half double crochet into every stitch. Not counting that chain 2, we should have a total of 8. Alright, so our first 2 half double crochet rows are all finished up. We can now get started on our first cable stitch row, or that's going to be our row number 3. And we're all going to start by doing a chain 2. So there's 1, there's 2, and then we're going to flip our work. Now starting and ending every cable stitch row, we're going to do a front post treble crochet, or a pillar is what I'm going to call it for video's sake. And how that's going to work is we're going to start with a yarn over of 2. So there's 1, and then there's 2. Now we're going to be working into that first row that we have, that first half double crochet row, and then into that first half double crochet, not counting that chain 2. We're going to bring our hook down and underneath that half double crochet. So underneath that post, like that, we're going to yarn over, pull through. we should have 4 loops on our hook. So all we're going to do from here is yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. Now that is our first front post treble crochet. Now to get started on the actual cable stitch section, we're going to do a set of 2 front post double treble crochets, skipping over those next 2 stitches and then into the 2 stitches right after. So to do a front post double treble crochet, we're going to yarn over 1, 2, and 3 times. Now making sure we're still working into that first row, we're going to bring our hook down, we're going to skip that next half double crochet, skip the half double crochet after that, then underneath that next one, we're going to bring our hook underneath the body of that half double crochet and through the other side. From here, we're going to yarn over, pull through, should have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 loops on our hook. So we're going to yarn over and pull through 2 until we have just 1 loop left on our hook. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. And that is our first front post double treble crochet all finished up. And they're going to be worked in sets of 2. So we're going to be doing another one into that next stitch. So just like our previous one, we're going to start with a yarn over of 3. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. Now from here, we're going to insert our hook underneath that next half double crochet from our first row, yarn over and pull through. And just like our previous one, we're going to yarn over and pull through 2 until we have 1 loop left on our hook. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and then yarn over and pull through 2. Once we have those 2 all finished up, we're now going to start working on the twist portion. So we're going to be doing a set of 2 front post double treble crochets into the 2 stitches that we skipped. So same deal, start with a yarn over of 3. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. Now we're going to insert our hook into that first half double crochet that we have. Bring our hook underneath, yarn over, and pull through. And we're going to yarn over and pull through 2 till we have 1 loop left on our hook. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. Now we should have just 1 stitch left in between those stitches. And we're going to do 1 more. So yarn over 1, 2, and 3. Bring our hook to that last half double crochet that we have. Yarn over and pull through. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. And just to close off our cable stitch section, we're going to be putting 1 front post treble crochet into each of the next 2 stitches. So to do a treble crochet again, we're going to yarn over twice. Inserting our hook into that third to last stitch from our first half double crochet row. Bring your hook underneath that half double crochet, pull through. We're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, and we have 1 more left to do into that second to last stitch. So yarn over twice. Bring your hook underneath that half double crochet and pull through. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. And now that we have those 2 all finished up, our cable stitch section is all finished. And like I said when we got this started, we do need to close off with a front post treble crochet or our pillar. Now this last one is going to be combined with a half double crochet so that it is nice and secure. So let's get that started. So starting with a yarn over of 2, we're going to bring our hook into that last half double crochet that we have from our row number 1. So insert your hook, pull through, and from here we're going to yarn over and pull through 2 until we have 2 loops left on our hook. So start with a yarn over, pull through 2, we should have 3 loops left on our hook, yarn over, and pull through 2. Now that we have these 2 loops left, we're going to yarn over, and then we're going to insert our hook into the last stitch from our previous row or our row number 2. So into that last stitch, insert your hook. We're going to yarn over, pull through 1. And from here, we should have 4 loops left on our hook. And just to close off this row, yarn over and pull through all 4 of those loops. And that is our row number 3 all finished. Now I do need to make our way over to the other side so that we can start our next cable stitch row. So what we're going to do is half double crochet down. Start with a chain 2, flip your work, and then put 1 half double crochet into every stitch. Alright, so our row number 4 is all finished up. We've half double crocheted all the way down, and now we can get started on our row number 5, which is our next cable stitch row. So just to work our way up to that, we're going to start with a chain 2 and flip our work. Since my work is already flipped, we're going to get started with a front post treble crochet, and that's going to be our pillar. So we're going to start by yarning over twice. Now each of our cable stitch rows is going to be worked into the previous cable stitch row, so we're going to be skipping over the half double crochet row. And we're going to find that first stitch, which mine is this front post treble crochet right here. We're going to yarn over, pull through, and then yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. And now our pillar is all finished. Now to get started on the actual cable stitch section, we're going to start by doing a set of 2 front post treble crochets into the first 2 stitches. So yarn over twice, insert your hook into that first stitch from our previous cable stitch row, yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Let's do this again. Yarn over twice, and then into that next stitch from our previous cable stitch row, insert your hook underneath. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. Now all together, we should have 3 front post treble crochets, remembering that that first one is our pillar. And now we're going to get started on the twist portion of our cable for our row number 5. We're going to be skipping those next 2 stitches and putting a front post double treble crochet into the next 2. So start with a yarn over of 3. There's 1, there's 2, there's 3. Skip those next 2 stitches, and then into that third to last stitch from our previous cable stitch row, insert your hook. Yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. We have 1 more left to do. So again, yarn over 3 times. Insert your hook into that next stitch, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. And now to close off our cable stitch section, we are going to have to do another set of front post double treble crochets, but now working underneath through that window that we just made. So what we're going to do is start with a yarn over of 3. Now that we have our 3, we're going to hang on to our yarn because it can very easily fall off. And from here, we're going to pull our work down, trying to find these 2 stitches in that window. So we're looking for these 2, so all we're going to do is pull our work down, and this is my first and second stitch that we skipped. Into that first stitch, we're going to bring our hook back and underneath that stitch. And then we're going to yarn over, pull through. Then we're going to finish off our front post double treble crochet per usual. So yarn over and pull through 2 until we have 1 stitch left. Yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. Now this is what the twist should start to look like, and we have just 1 more left to do. So let's repeat that. There's 1, 2, 3 yarn overs. We're going to hang on to our yarn and bring our work down, finding that last stitch that we have in that window. This is mine right here. I'm going to bring my hook back to this stitch, yarn over, pull through, and then we're going to yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2, and pull through 2. And now our cable for our row number 5 is all finished up, and just to close off this row, we're going to do a front post treble crochet combined with a half double crochet, just like how we did for our previous cable stitch row. So what that's going to be again is starting with a yarn over of 2. Into that last stitch from our previous cable stitch row, we're going to insert our hook, yarn over, and pull through. Now we're going to yarn over and pull through 2 until we have 2 loops left on our hook. So yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. Now that we have those 2 loops, we're going to yarn over and then into the last stitch from our previous half double crochet row, insert with a half double crochet. So bring our hook down into that last stitch, yarn over, and pull through. We have 4 loops left on our hook, so yarn over and pull through all 4 of those loops. And now our row number 5 is all finished up. So let's get started on the next row, and that is going to be a half double crochet row, making our way down because we always need to start our cable stitches on the other side. So do a chain 2, flip our work, and then put 1 half double crochet into every stitch. Alright, so we have just finished up our half double crochet row, and all together we should have a total of 6 rows. And from here it's going to repeat of rows 3 through 6 until we get the total height that we want. I'm just going to get started with the next row with you guys and I'll let you guys move on from there. So since this is going to be a repeat, right after this half double crochet row, we are going to chain 2, flip our work, and we're going to start with a repeat of row number 3. So remembering that we're working into our previous cable stitch row, we're going to do our pillar. So yarn over twice, we're going to bring our hook underneath that first stitch from our previous cable stitch row, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. And our row number 3 is going to start with a set of 2 front post double treble crochets into the 3rd and 4th stitch from our previous row. So remembering we are skipping the first 2 stitches. And from here I'm going to yarn over 3 times. I'm going to skip 1, skip 2, and then do my front post double treble crochet into the next stitch and then also into the stitch right after that. So there's 1. And then there's 2. And then from here, all I'm going to do is work back into the 2 stitches that I skipped with our next 2 front post double treble crochets. Do a set of 2 front post treble crochets into the 3rd and 2nd to last stitch from our previous row. And then close this off with our pillar, which is a front post treble crochet that is combined with a half double crochet. Now, if you guys need timestamps for row 3 or row 5 or any of that information, that will all be linked in the description with timestamps. Go ahead and get all this done, making sure that we place this first row about mid-chest, and then make the cable just as long as you want your piece to be, keeping in mind that we will have a bottom band as well. I'll meet you guys back once when I have mine all finished up, and I will meet you guys back right after a cable stitch row. Right, I am back with my cable stitch section. I have a total of 27 rows, and my length is just about 8 inches or 20 centimeters, and we all should have ended on a cable stitch row. Now from here we're going to do a row that gives us a decent slant so that we know what side is going to be our increase and what side is going to be our decrease side of the panel. So what we're all going to do from here is do a chain 1, flip our work, and I do need it to be higher along the end. So we are all going to start by doing 2 single crochets, 2 half double crochets, and then ending with 4 double crochets. So let's get that started. Into that first stitch, we're going to insert with our first single crochet, and we need to do a second single crochet. Now after this, we're going to be doing 2 half double crochets. So yarn over, into that next stitch, there's 1. Yarn over, and then into that next stitch, there's 2. So all together we should have 2 single crochets, 2 half double crochets, and then we're going to close off with 4 double crochets. So all that's going to be is a yarn over, insert your hook into that next stitch, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. And we're going to do that 3 more times to have a total of 4. So to do that again, we're going to yarn over into that next stitch, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, and pull through 2. And I'm going to be doing 2 more. There's my second to last, and this is my last double crochet. So if we want to flip our work over, we should have our cable stitch section and then a decent increase so we can get started on the increase side of our front panel. So all we're going to do from here is do a chain 1, and then we're going to single crochet along the edge of our cable stitch section. Now we're going to be alternating between 1 to 2 single crochets into every side row, and we are going to start with 2 single crochets into the first side row because this is a side double crochet. So right after our chain 1, we're going to find that side double crochet, and we're going to insert with 1, and then into that same loop with 2 single crochets. Now we need to find that next side row, which is this one right here for me. You may have to pull it apart, but this is my side row, and insert into there with just 1. And then we're going to alternate just like that, making our way all the way down. So just to do the next set, this is my next side row right here. As you can see, this is my half double crochet row. I'm going to find that loop and insert with 2 single crochets. So there is 1, and then into that same loop there is 2. And then this is my next side row. Find that side loop with just 1. And keep doing this, making our way all the way down. Alright, so our single crochet row is all finished up. And now we're going to do a half double crochet row, making our way all the way up with an increase of 3 into that last stitch. So all we're going to do from here is just do a chain 2. That doesn't count as a stitch, that's just our turning chain. Flip our work, yarn over, insert your hook into that first stitch with a half double crochet. And continue to put 1 half double crochet into every stitch, leaving the last one so that we can increase together. Alright, we have just made our way all the way up with our half double crochets. We have left that last stitch, and now we're going to do an increase of 3. So start with a yarn over, inserting our hook into that last stitch. We're going to do 3 half double crochets. So there's my first, into that same last stitch. There goes my second half double crochet, and then into that same last stitch. There is my third half double crochet, and that is our increase of 3. And from here we're going to do a back loop slip stitch row, and we do need to increase into there as well. So we're all going to start with a chain 2. That first chain is going to count as a stitch. That second chain is going to count as our turning chain. Once we have our 2 chains, we're going to flip our work, and then inserting our hook into that second chain's back loop, we're going to do a slip stitch. So skipping that first chain, and then finding the back loop, or the loop that's furthest away from us, we're going to insert our hook. Once we have that, all we're going to do is yarn over and pull through both loops on our hook. So yarn over and pull through 1, and then also through the second. Right, that is our first slip stitch. Our next one should be a little bit easier, so let's do this together as well. This is my next stitch. So I'm going to insert my hook into that next back loop. We're going to yarn over and pull through both loops on our hook. So there's 1, and then there's 2. Now a really quick tip when it comes to doing our back loop slip stitches, we do want to make sure that we're not tugging too tightly after we finish the stitch. Otherwise it's going to be really tight and very difficult to work into the next row. So let's just do 1 more together. Into that next stitch that we have, insert your hook into that back loop, yarn over, pull through everything, and then don't tug on your work, just automatically insert your hook into that next back loop, yarn over, pull through everything, and continue to put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. When we reach the end of the row, do a chain 2, flip your work, and I'll meet you guys back at the end of the row. Alright, so our back loop slip stitch row is all finished up, and from here we're going to switch back out to doing our half double crochet row, but from here on out they're going to be within the back loops. So just to get this started, we're going to do a chain 2. That doesn't count as a stitch, that's just our turning chain. And we're going to flip our work. And just to do a back loop half double crochet, we're going to yarn over once, and then into the back loop of that first stitch, or the loop that's furthest away from us, we're going to yarn over, pull through, yarn over, pull through 3. There's our first back loop half double crochet. Let's just do one more. Yarn over, into that next stitch's back loop, pull through 3. We're working into the back loops to get a really pretty ribbing, but we're going to continue to do this until we have just one stitch left, because I want to increase with you guys just one more time. Alright, so we've just made our way all the way up with our back loop half double crochet row. We have left that last stitch, and now we're going to do another increase of 3 together. So starting with the yarn over, insert your hook into that last back loop with 1 half double crochet. And we're going to be doing 2 more into that same back loop. So yarn over, there's my second, yarn over into that same back loop. There is my third. So we should altogether have 3 stitches into that last back loop. And then from here, we're going to increase the same way that we did into our slip stitch row. So start with a chain 2, flip our work. Now let's do our first few back loop slip stitches. We're going to skip that first chain that's closest to our hook, then into that second chain. Go ahead and insert your hook in through that back loop. Yarn over, pull through both loops on our hook, remembering not to tug once we pull our hook through that final loop. Let's do that again. Into that next back loop, insert, yarn over, gently pull through. Let's do that again. Into that next back loop, yarn over, and pull through. And from here, it's going to be a repeat of these 2 rows. So our back loop half double crochet row with an increase of 3 at the end, and then our back loop slip stitch row with an increase as well, until this point that we have can reach all the way up to our shoulder. I'll meet you guys back once we have this all finished up, making sure that we end right after a half double crochet row. Alright, so I am back and I have just finished up my increased side of my side panel. My width that I have is about 3.5 inches or 9 centimeters, and that's coming from the first single crochet, or the total width, including the cable stitch section, is just about 5.5 inches or 14 centimeters, and this is all unstretched. We should have ended right after a half double crochet row, and all we're going to do is back loop slip stitches, and then a back loop half double crochet row until we get a shoulder portion that we want. Keeping in mind that we don't make this too big because we will have a border along the armhole and along the inside as well. So right after our half double crochet row, all we're going to do is do a chain 1, flip our work, and then just put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. Alright, our first row for our shoulder portion is all finished up, and it is just a back loop slip stitch row. And all we're going to do from here is do a chain 2, flip your work, and then put 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch with no increases and no decreases. And we're going to keep repeating these 2 rows until we get a shoulder width that we want, making sure that we end on a slip stitch row. I've just finished up my shoulder portion. I did a total of 3 rows, and I did end along the bottom. From here, from my first single crochet row, I now have a total of 4 inches or 10 centimeters, or a total width, including the cable stitch, of 6 inches or 15 centimeters, all unstretched. Now once we have our shoulder portion all done, the next thing that we're going to do is insert our stitch marker into the stitch where we want our sleeve to start. I have inserted my stitch marker into the 33rd stitch from the bottom, and this is just about 6 inches or 15 centimeters. And what we're going to do from here is do our half double crochet row, making our way all the way up until we are 2 stitches right before our stitch marker. We've done our half double crochets, making our way all the way up to our stitch marker, and we are 2 stitches away from it. What we're going to do from here is a decrease of 2 into the next 2 stitches. So we're going to yarn over, insert your hook into that second to last back loop, pull through into that last back loop, pull through. We should have 4 loops on our hook now, so all we're going to do is yarn over and pull through all 4 of those loops. Now that's how I do a decrease of 2 back loop half double crochets. We aren't going to be doing any decreases into the slip stitch row, so all we're going to do is do a chain of 1, flip our work, and then put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. When we reach the end of the row, do a chain 2, flip our work, and then put 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch, leaving the last 2. I'll meet you guys back just so we can do this decrease with each other one more time. Alright, so I've done my back loop half double crochets, making my way all the way up, leaving the last 2 stitches so that we can decrease with each other one more time. Starting with the yarn over, we're going to insert our hook into that second to last back loop. Yarn over and pull through. Insert your hook into that last back loop. Insert your hook, pull through. We should have 4 loops on our hook, so yarn over, pull through all 4. And then from here, just do a chain 1, flip your work, and then put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. And keep repeating these 2 rows until we get an under portion that can stretch to mid underarm, making sure that we end on a half double crochet row. This is actually just as wide as I need mine to be, so I am going to do a chain up of 1 and cut. And once when I have this, my width is now about 5 inches or 13 centimeters, and my total width is now 7 inches or 18 centimeters. I'm going to do my chain up of 1 and cut, and I'll meet you guys back just to show you guys how we're going to be doing the other side. Alright, so 1/2 of my front panel is all finished up. We now need to get started on the decrease portion. So the first thing we're going to do is flip our work upside down so that our cables is face downwards, and making sure that the shoulder is closest to us. So we're going to flip our work, cables away from us, shoulder is nearest to us, and we're all going to start by inserting our hook into this bottom corner stitch of our cable stitch section. And once when our hook is into there, we're going to be inserting our yarn onto our hook, pull through, do a chain up of 1 to secure. That doesn't count as a stitch. And from here, we're going to be alternating between 1 to 2 single crochets into every side half double crochet. Now we're going to start this section with 1 single crochet. So into that first side row, I'm going to insert into that side stitch with 1 single crochet. Into my next side row, which is this one right here, I'm going to insert into there with 2 single crochets. So there is 1, and then there is 2. Let's do one more set together. Into my next side row, which is this one right here, I'm going to find that side stitch and insert with 1 single crochet. And then into my next side row, I'm going to insert with 2 single crochets. So find that top loop and insert with 1 and then 2. And we are going to keep doing this, making our way all the way up, making sure that once we reach this last side row that we have, the one that gave us our height, we're going to do 1 single crochet into that side row, which should be 1 side single crochet. I'll meet you guys back right at this corner. Alright, so we've just single crocheted all the way up the side of our cable stitch section. Now we're going to get started with our first half double crochet row. So what we're going to do is do a chain 2 and flip our work. Now we're going to start with a decrease of 2 half double crochets. So we're going to start with the yarn over, insert your hook into that first stitch, pull through, also into that next stitch, pull through. Should have 4 loops on our hook now, so all we're going to do is yarn over, pull through all 4 of those loops, and just put 1 half double crochet into every stitch. At the end of this row, do a chain 1, flip your work, and then put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. And then I will meet you guys back just to do a decrease of 2 half double crochets with you guys one more time because it's going to be within the back loops. Alright, so we've just put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. We have made our way all the way down. Now let's just do our decrease of 2 back loop half double crochets together. So start with a chain 2, flip our work, and now we're going to do our decrease of 2 within the back loops. So yarn over, insert your hook into that first back loop, pull through. Also into that next back loop, pull through, We should have 4 loops on our hook, so yarn over and pull through all 4. And that is it. We are now going to keep repeating these 2 rows. So our back loop half double crochet row, that starts with a decrease of 2 back loop half double crochets. And then our back loop slip stitch row with no increases and no decreases until we have the same amount of rows as we have for our other front panel. Now I had a total of 26 rows on the other side. So over here, I'm going to be doing another 26 rows, do a chain up a 1 and cut, and then I'll meet you guys back. I am back and I have just finished up the decrease side of my front panel. I now have a total width of 11 inches or 28 centimeters. I did do a chain up a 1 and cut once when I had the same amount of rows as my increase side. And now we can set this off to the side and start working on our back panel. So getting started with our back panel, we're actually going to start with the decrease end first. So what we're going to do is make a chain that is the same amount of stitches that we have for our last row. So if you guys have my numbers, I had a total of 28 stitches on this decrease side. So I'm going to start by making a chain of 28. Now that we have our chain, we are going to block off that last chain and do a chain of 2. Now that chain 2 doesn't count as a stitch, that's just our turning chain. And we're going to start by inserting our hook into that chain that we blocked off, or the third chain from our hook with an increase of 2 half double crochets. So start with the yarn over and inserting your hook into that third chain. You're going to insert with your first half double crochet, and then we're going to be putting 1 more half double crochet into that same stitch. That is our increase of 2 half double crochets. And from here, we're going to put 1 half double crochet into every chain. Alright, so our first half double crochet row is all finished up, and now we're going to do a back loop slip stitch row with no increases and no decreases. So we are mimicking the decrease that we have on this side, but obviously since we need to work up the back panel, we're going to be doing increases only into the half double crochet row. So just to get started with our slip stitch row, do a chain 1, flip your work, and put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. I will meet you guys back at the end of this row just so we can get started with our next back loop half double crochet row. Then I'll let you guys do the rest on your own. Alright, our back loop slip stitch row is all finished up, and just to get started on our next half double crochet row, we're going to do a chain 2, flip our work, and then start with an increase of 2 back loop half double crochets. So yarn over, insert your hook into that first stitch with 1 half double crochet, and then into that same stitch with another half double crochet into the back loops. And then from here, just make your way down, putting 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch. And our next row is going to be a slip stitch row with no increases and no decreases. And all we're going to do is keep repeating these 2 rows until we have the same amount of rows as our decrease portion right here, minus 1 row. So just as an example, if you guys have my numbers, I have a total of 26 rows right here. So I'm going to be doing a total of 25 rows, and then we will have a middle row that will take place of the cable that we have within the front panel. I'll meet you guys back once we have this all finished up. Alright, so I'm back with my 25 rows. We have the decrease portion of our underarm all finished up. We're about to do our middle row with each other, and then we're going to do our shoulder portion so that everything is nice and evened out. But a really quick tip before we get started with that, the back panel is going to be smaller than the front panel because we're just going to have a single slip stitch row for this cable stitch section. But don't worry, it'll all even out when everything is on. So what we're going to do, since we all should have ended right after a half double crochet row, we're going to chain 1, flip our work, and we're going to put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch, and we're going to do an increase into that last stitch. Alright, so we have made our way all the way up with our slip stitch row, and we have left the last stitch from our previous row, and we're just going to do an increase of 2 back loop slip stitches into there. So we're going to be inserting with 2 back loop slip stitches, but the second one may be a little hard to do, so let's do this together slowly. Start by inserting your hook into that last back loop and do your first back loop slip stitch. And then we're going to insert our hook into that same back loop, yarn over, and pull through everything with our second back loop slip stitch. We do want to make sure that we're not tugging too tightly on that first back loop slip stitch that we do, because if we do, it's going to make it harder for the second one. Once we have that increase, we can now get started on the shoulder portion of our increase. So we're going to start with a chain 2 because our next row is a half double crochet row. Flip our work, and because we need this to have the same increase as the front panel, we're going to do an increase of 3 back loop half double crochets. And we're going to want to make sure that we are not skipping over that second slip stitch that we did into that last stitch. As you guys can see, it's a little bit smaller, it might be a little bit harder to see, but it is there. We just want to make sure that we're working into that stitch first with our increase of 3. So there's my first half double crochet. We're going to be doing 2 more into that same stitch. Yarn over into that same stitch with our second, and then once more with our third half double crochet. And then from here, put 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch. And at the end of the row, do a chain 1, flip your work, put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch, leaving the last one just so we can increase with each other one more time. Alright, so I am back and I have made my way all the way up with my slip stitch row, leaving that last stitch so that we can increase again. So just do our increase of 2 back loop slip stitches into that last stitch, insert your hook into that last back loop with 1 slip stitch, remembering not to pull too tightly on your working yarn, and then into that same last back loop, we're going to yarn over, pull through everything for our second back loop slip stitch, and that is our increase of 2. And just get started with our half double crochet row, we're going to do a chain 2, flip our work, and then do an increase of 3 back loop half double crochets into that first stitch, which may be a little small. So all we're going to do is insert into that first stitch with 1, with 2, and then with 3 back loop half double crochets all into that first stitch, and then make your way down, putting 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch. And from here, we're going to keep repeating these 2 rows until we have the same amount of rows as our front panel that reaches up to our shoulder, minus 1 row. From my first single crochet row to my last increase row, I have a total of 20 rows. I will meet you guys back when I have a total of 19, and then we can do the shoulder and the underarm together. I am back with my increased portion of our back panel. We now need to do our shoulder portion. So all we're going to do is rows of back loop slip stitches and back loop half double crochets until we have the same amount of rows as our front panel. So for my front panel, I only have 3 shoulder rows. I'm going to be doing my 3 shoulder rows with no increases and no decreases. And then since we will end along the top, I'm going to do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then I'll meet you guys back so that we can do the underarm portion together. So my shoulder portion is all finished up, and now we're going to close off our back panel by doing our underarm. So we're all going to first start by inserting our stitch marker into the same stitch that we inserted our stitch marker into for the front panel when it came to doing the underarm right after the shoulder. So if you guys have my numbers, I've inserted my stitch marker into my 33rd stitch on the front panel. So I did the same thing along the back. Then from here, we're going to half double crochet down. So we're all going to start by inserting our hook into that next stitch that we have that's right next to our stitch marker, working our way down, making sure that we're inserting into that back loop. We're going to insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through, and then we're going to do a chain up of 1 to secure. Now once we have that, we're going to do another chain, so a total of 2 so that we have the height. This isn't going to count as a stitch. And then we're going to decrease, starting by inserting our hook into that same back loop that our chain's in. So yarn over, insert your hook into that same back loop that the chain is in, yarn over, pull through, also insert your hook into that next back loop, yarn over, and pull through. Since we only did a decrease of 2 on the front panel, we're going to be doing a decrease of 2 on the back. So since we have all 4 loops on our hook, we're now going to yarn over and pull through all 4 of those loops. And then from here, we're going to put 1 back loop half double crochet into every stitch. When we reach the end of this row, do a chain 1, flip your work, and then put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. And then I'll meet you guys back just one more time so that we can do our decrease together. Alright, so we have made our way back up with our back loop slip stitch row, and we're going to do our back loop half double crochet row now. And I just want to do the decrease with you guys one more time. So start with a chain 2 and flip your work. Start with the yarn over, and we're going to insert our hook into that first stitch's back loop, pull through. Also into that next stitch's back loop, pull through. Should have 4 loops on our hook, so yarn over and pull through all 4. And from here, we're just going to keep repeating these 2 rows. So our back loop half double crochet row, that starts with a decrease of 2 back loop half double crochets, and then a slip stitch row with no increases and no decreases until we have the same amount of underarm rows as our front panel. Now, I actually only had 3 underarm rows for my front panel, so right after this row, I am going to do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then I will meet you guys back. I am back, and I have just finished up my underarm portion for the back panel. I did do a chain up of 1 and cut, and we are all done. We are now going to seam our shoulders together. So from here, we're going to grab our front panel, and we're going to start by making sure that our work is flipped wrong side out. So the ribbing that we have for the front panel will be face down, and the ribbing that we have for the back panel will be face up. And we're doing it this way so that all of our seams will be along the inside when we flip it inside out. We're going to make sure that our shoulders are along the same end, and we're going to insert our hook into that first shoulder row that we have. So it should be a slip stitch row. So if you guys pay attention, this is my first side slip stitch row right here. I'm just going to trace that up and find that first side row. And then taking a look at the back panel, I'm going to do the same thing. This is my first shoulder row, which is this side slip stitch row. I'm going to find that top loop and insert my hook into there as well. And then we can do our single crochet seam. So I'm going to start by inserting my yarn onto my hook. I'm going to pull through and then do a chain up of 1 to secure. And all I'm going to do from here is put 2 single crochets into every side half double crochet, and then 1 single crochet into every side slip stitch row, making sure that we're working into both the front and back panel at the same time. So to get this started, this is my next side row that I have right here. This is my side half double crochet. I'm going to find that top loop, insert my hook into there. This is just the front panel, and then into the back panel, find that side half double crochet row, and then insert your hook into that side loop with 1 single crochet. Now we're going to be doing 1 more since we need to put 2 single crochets into every side half double crochet row. Should be a little bit easier now though, since our half double crochets are gathered by the first single crochet. So what I'm going to do is insert my hook into that same side loop into the front panel, and then into that same side loop into the back panel, and then single crochet. Once we have that, we're going to put 1 single crochet into every side slip stitch row. So I'm going to find it along my front panel, and this is mine right here. And then I'm going to find my slip stitch row into the back panel. I'm going to find that, insert my hook, and then single crochet. And since I don't have any more rows left, I'm going to do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then we can seam our sides together. So now that our shoulder is seamed, we are now going to seam our side together. So we're going to now flip our work right side out, because this is going to be an outside loop slip stitch seam, which looks like another slip stitch row. So just getting started on the short side, we're going to insert our hook into the corner stitch of both the front and the back panel. Insert your yarn onto your hook, pull through, and do a chain up of 1 to secure. Now let's do our first outside loop slip stitch. So taking a look at this first stitch that we have right here, we're going to want to find that outside loop, or the loop that's nearest to us, or the front loop. So insert your hook into the front loop, and then into the back panel. Insert your hook into there, and then insert into that back loop. You should have 3 loops on our hook. So from here, we're going to yarn over and pull through everything. Let's do that again. Into that next stitch into the front panel, insert in through that front loop. And also into the next stitch into the back panel, insert only in through that back loop, Should have 3 loops on our hook, so yarn over and pull through all 3. Let's do this together just once more. Into the next stitch into the front panel, insert in through that front loop, and then into the next stitch into the back panel, insert only into that back loop. Should have 3 loops on your hook, so yarn over and pull through all 3. And we are going to keep doing this, making our way all the way down. Once we made our way all the way down, do a chain up of 1 and cut, and then we are going to do the same thing that we just did here on the other side, and then I will meet you guys back. Now that everything is all seamed up, we are ready to get started on our top band. So the first thing we're going to do is take a look at our short underarm side. And we're going to find that last stitch that we have when it comes to our outside loop slip stitch seam, and we're going to insert our hook. We're going to insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through, and then do a chain up of 1 to secure. And we're going to be putting 2 single crochets into every side half double crochet, and then 1 single crochet into every side slip stitch row. So just to do the first few, we're going to find our first side half double crochet row. We're going to insert our hook into that first side row with 1 single crochet, and then into that same side row with our second single crochet, and that makes 2 single crochets into this side half double crochet row. Now our next side row should be a side slip stitch row. Find that top loop, insert your hook, and then insert with just 1 single crochet. Let's do that again. This is my next side row. This is a side half double crochet, so we're going to be putting 2 single crochets into there. There is 1. And then there is 2. This is my next side slip stitch row, and we're just going to be inserting with 1 single crochet. So altogether, we should have taken up 1, 2, 3, 4 rows, and we should have 6 stitches. And we're going to continue on with this pattern, making our way all the way up and around, and then slip stitch into that chain 1 space. I'll meet you guys back once this is all finished up. We've made our way all the way around with our single crochet row. We did do a slip stitch into that chain 1 space, and now we're going to make a chain the height that we want our top band to be. Now I want mine to just be about 1 inch or 2 centimeters, so I'm going to start by making a chain of 5. And once we have our chain, we're going to block off our last chain to a chain of 1. That chain doesn't count as a stitch, that's just our turning chain, and then we're going to insert our hook into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook, with a slip stitch. So go ahead and insert your hook into that chain, yarn over, and pull through everything. Let's do that again. Into that next chain, insert your hook, yarn over, and pull through everything. And we're going to continue to put 1 slip stitch into every chain. And just as a quick tip again, once when it comes to slip stitches, make sure you aren't tugging on the work yarn once when you finish a stitch. Otherwise, the next row is going to be really tough to work into. Now that we've put 1 slip stitch into every chain, we need to connect it into the base. So what we're going to do is find that first available stitch into the base and slip stitch into there. So yarn over, pull through everything to close off this first row. Now to work our way up to the next row, since we're along the base, we're going to slip stitch into that next stitch as well, and then flip our work. And now we're going to be doing back loop slip stitches. So just to do the first one, we're going to insert our hook into that first stitch's back loop, yarn over, pull through everything, and the next, insert into that next back loop, yarn over, pull through everything. Continue to put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch until we reach the end of this row. And now that we're at the end of the row, just to work our way up to the next row, do a chain 1, flip your work, and then continue to put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. When we reach the base, we're going to connect it into the base the same way that we just did. And then from here, we're going to keep repeating these 2 rows with no increases and no decreases until we don't have any more stitches left. And then we're going to seam it together. We've made our way all the way around with our back loop slip stitch rows. We don't have any more stitches left to work into, so what we're going to do is first make sure that our work is flipped right side out, And now we're going to seam our two ends together. And we're going to do that by doing an outside loop slip stitch seam. So the same type of seam that we did for connecting the front and back panel. So taking a look at the first stitch that we have into the front panel, we're going to insert in through that front loop. Now into the next stitch that we have into the back panel, we're going to insert in through that back loop, yarn over, and pull through everything. There's our first. Let's just do one more together since we already know how to do this. Into that next stitch into the front panel, insert in through that front loop. Into the next stitch into the back panel, insert in through that back loop. Should have 3 loops on our hook, so we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 of those loops. We're going to continue to do this until we don't have any more stitches left, and then do a chain up of 1 and cut. So now that our top band is all finished up, we can now get started on the bottom band. We're going to start by inserting a hook into the last stitch that we have, into our side seam, and it doesn't matter which side. We're going to insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through, and do a chain up of 1 to secure. And all we're going to do from here is put 1 single crochet into every side row that we have, making our way all the way around. So just do the first one. This is my first side row that I have right here. It should be a half double crochet. So I'm going to insert my hook into there, and then just do 1 single crochet. Now this is my next side row, which is a side slip stitch row. I'm going to insert my hook into there, also with just 1 single crochet, and we're going to continue this, making our way all the way around. So let's just do one more set together. This is my next side row. So find that top loop with just 1 single crochet, and then just once more into that side slip stitch row, insert with just 1 single crochet. And we're going to keep doing this, making our way all the way around, slip stitch into that chain 1 space, and then I'll meet you guys back. Now that we have single crocheted along the entirety of our bottom, we're going to make a chain the length that we want our bottom band to be. So I'm going to start by making a chain of 15, and that's just about 2.5 inches or 6 centimeters. Now that we have our chain, we're going to block off that last chain. Do a chain of 1. That's our turning chain. That does not count as a stitch. We're going to insert our hook into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook. So go ahead and insert with a slip stitch, and continue to put 1 slip stitch into every chain. And now that we've put 1 slip stitch into every chain, we're going to need to slip stitch it into the base. We're going to find that next available stitch, insert our hook with 1 slip stitch to close off this first row. And then to work our way up to the next row, it is going to be another back loop slip stitch row. So slip stitch up that next stitch into the base, flip your work, and then make your way down, putting 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. At the end of the row, do a chain 1, flip your work, and then put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch, connecting it into the base the same way that we just did. I'll meet you guys back right after we make our way all the way around and we don't have any more stitches left so that we can seam it together. Alright, so we have just made our way all the way around with our back loop slip stitch rows. We don't have any more left to work into, so now we're just going to start this outside loop slip stitch seam together. So we're going to start by inserting our hook into the corner stitch of both the front and back panel. We're going to yarn over and pull through everything. And just to do the first one, we're going to insert our hook into that first available stitch's front loop, or the loop that's closest to us, and then into the back panel, insert your hook into the loop that's furthest away from us, or into that back loop. Yarn over, pull through everything, and continue to do this until we don't have any more stitches left, and then do a chain up of 1 and cut. So now that that's all seamed up, the next thing we're going to do is work on our armhole band. So all we're going to do from here is make sure that our work is slipped right side out, and we're going to take our hook and then insert it into the last stitch from our side seam. We're next going to insert our yarn onto our hook, pull through, and then do a chain up of 1 to secure. And from here we're going to single crochet all the way around. So we're going to start by putting 2 single crochets into every side half double crochet, and then 1 single crochet into every side slip stitch row. So just do the first few with you guys. The first row that we should have is a side half double crochet. So I'm going to find that side loop, insert my hook, And then I'm going to single crochet once. And since it is our half double crochet, I'm going to insert my hook into there again with my second single crochet. So we now have 2 single crochets into our side half double crochet. My next side row is a side slip stitch row. So I'm going to find that top loop, insert my hook into there with just 1 single crochet. And since I just have 1 side row left, I'm just going to do this with you guys. So I'm going to insert my hook into there with 1 single crochet and then 2 single crochet. Now if you guys have more side rows to work into, go ahead and continue to put 2 single crochets into every side half double and 1 single crochet into every side slip stitch row until we reach our shoulder portion right here, and then we're just going to single crochet, making our way all the way up and around, and then we're going to slip stitch into that chain 1 space, and I'll meet you guys back. Our single crochet row is all finished up, and now we're going to make our band. I'm going to start by making a chain the height that I want mine to be. Now I want mine to be the same as my top band, so I'm going to make another chain of 5, and that is still just about 1 inch or 2 centimeters. And this is going to be done the same way as our top band, so let's get this started. I'm going to block off that last chain, do a chain 1, and then into that chain that we blocked off, or the second chain from our hook, we're going to insert with a slip stitch. So insert your hook, we're going to yarn over and pull through everything, making sure that we're not pulling too tightly after we finish that stitch. Let's do the next one. Insert your hook into that next chain, yarn over and pull through everything. Continue to put 1 slip stitch into every chain. And now that we've put 1 slip stitch into every chain, just like how we did for the top band, we're going to need to connect it into the base. So all we're going to do is find that next available stitch, insert your hook with a slip stitch. And then that's it. Our first row is connected. And just to work our way up to the next row, slip stitch into that next stitch into the base, flip your work, and then make your way down, putting 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch. When we reach the end of the row, do a chain 1, flip your work, and then put 1 back loop slip stitch into every stitch again, connecting it into the base the same way that we just did. And we're going to keep doing that, making our way all the way around, and when we don't have any more stitches left, I'll meet you guys back so that we can seam everything together. Now that we have slip stitched all the way around our armhole, we're now going to seam it together. The first thing we're going to do is make sure that our work is slipped right side out. And this is going to be an outside loop slip stitch seam, so the same one that we did for the top band. So let's just do the first one together. We're going to start by inserting our hook into that first available stitch's front loop, or the loop that's nearest to us. And then into the back panel, insert your hook into that first available stitch's back loop, or the loop that's furthest away from us. And now that we have that, we're going to yarn over and pull through everything. And that's it. Continue to do that, making our way all the way down, and when we don't have any more stitches left, do a chain up of 1 and cut. Alright, so we have just finished up seaming our bottom band, and we are all done. The last thing we're going to have to do is weave in all of our ends. And there you have it, guys. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Check us out on Instagram, Pinterest, or Twitter. Those links are down below. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll catch you on the next one. Bye!